numerics work. You know that? This is also something I'm not always realizing, but that makes it a little bit harder. But it is worth to get into it and know the details and know how it works, because it empowers you to do a lot of cool stuff. I'm about motivation talks out today. I have the feeling. I hope this is okay, but we will get through this. This will be fine. So okay, we have this cube now, and again for the cube, we need the right values. And I'm lazy, so I'm just clicking this one little guy here. We already made, and then I copy the scale, and I go back here and I paste the scale. So now I have the right scale. So let's save this. Let's get rid of this one. So we remove this one, and then I move in this one. Let's see, it is on 0. This is really important, because this one also looks right, okay? But the ball will not interact with it because it's below the 0 plane. Okay, so we move this on 0. This is fine. And right now, it doesn't have the right color. So we put our material back in. So here it is. So now it looks normal. And if I press play, nothing happens. Well, okay. That's because we are not complete yet. So we made this pedal. First, what we have to do is we have to tell the game what to control, what a pawn he should use. So let's see, default pawn class, here it is. When I open this, I have my pedal now, because he's only showing pawns. He's not showing everything. There are different pawns that come with the engine. So let's see, pedal. So we put pedal here, but still, if I start now, it's still not happening. But what you can see, let me see, yeah. What you can see here, I have my pedal. The white ones is the stuff that was already there. And now you see he spawned a pedal. Okay? So he spawned a pedal somewhere. We can try to eject. We eject. And then we could look around if we could find. There it is. Here's our pedal. Okay, this is the one he spawned because he doesn't know the other one. Okay, there are different ways to do. I mean, we could do the way we already did with the camera. This pedal we delete, and this again comes a little bit from the heritage of the engine. There's something called player start. So this is just an object I can place somewhere. So I have my player start here now. And if I start now, woo, magically the pedal appears. So what's happening is the game mode is saying, oh, this pedal, we want to use this pedal. Then he's saying there's no pedal in the world. So let's look where to place a pedal. And then he's looking for the player start. And then he's placing the character at the position where the player start is. So if I would move this player start around, like here, he would spawn there, okay? And that again comes from, think about these games like Unreal Tournament, where you have different spawn positions, and then you randomly get spawned somewhere. So you just don't place a character there, because you can die, and then you have to respawn. This is how it's meant to be. So we have this now, and if I press play, I still don't have, I cannot move, I cannot do anything yet, okay? So for that, let's see, I think it's intersecting with the ball. Move the ball up a bit. Yeah. So now let's talk about how we move the panel. So to move it, we have to tell the engine what inputs we want. And there's something I personally really like in the project settings. There's a lot of settings where there's a lot of stuff. So you can go through this step by step and read this. There's something like, what's the name of your game? What's the project thumbnail? What's your copyright notice? Okay. What's your licensing term? Private policy. There's all this kind of stuff when you build your version later that this is in the executable, and you should definitely place your name somewhere, company name, is really important, because that actually tells others who will execute your game, this game belongs to someone. If you don't do this, this is really hard later to prove, you know? But not everybody can build the game like you have the source data, you can build your version, so this is important. But there's a lot of other stuff, and one thing that's important is input. So for input, there you see I forgot to delete this. For the input, I have two different sections here I can bind keys to. One is action mapping and one is access mapping. The difference is access mapping is analog, so I have a value between -1 and +1 or whatever I specify. So like a thumbstick on a controller, it goes from left to right, and it's analog. It's not like on and off. And action is obviously something like a button press. Okay. So I could add button press because I press a button now with A and S and D. So I either use the arrow keys or I use A and D to move the pedal left and right, or I could use an axis, and if we would have a gamepad, I could easily make this a gamepad game. Okay, so this is pretty. Or I mean, if you have a phone, you can use a touch and see the touch. So there's a lot of different methods of input. And for that reason, because there's so much different ones, and there are so many different devices out there, and when you go to when you go to VR and the controllers, there's so much, and it's still evolving. You know, there's still new stuff coming out. So the engine has to be super agnostic. It has to separate the input stuff from the logic. So what I could do, I don't want to, but what I could do is go here and say something like input Q or whatever. So this is when Q is pressed. And then I could say something like, okay, then we print Q is pressed. And that's not about the new Bond movie. So when I press Q, you see, then this appears. This is already pretty cool. This is really nice. But when I do this way, and then I decide, oh, my button layout is shit, or I want to have it on another device, then I have to go here in the blueprint code and change all that. This is not good. So what we want to do is we want the project settings to set up a mapping. So what we can say is move right, for example. So we call them axis move right, and then we say, okay, we want to press A. I'm just using A and D now because my fingers are in this area all the time. So A is left, so this is -1. And then we say D, and I could use the arrow keys as well, is 1. So now I have made this mapping, and I can go to this pedal, and I can say input axis, and then I hopefully find move right defined. Okay, so let's now do this print string, and then have. So what do you expect to happen when I press play? Any idea? Sorry? Yes, say it. Sorry? The puddle will not move yet. So this print string is just printing something out. Any idea what it prints? So it's zeros, because currently it's no input. Okay. So when I press A, it's -1, and if I press D, it's +1. Okay. Even if it's not an axis, I can use this to map keys to that. Okay, because this is much easier than to implement two buttons, like implementing action A and action B, and then if you, I mean, this is actually, by the way, that's what I think is game design is really about, is about this inputs and how the inputs are executed. This is real game design, because I have to think carefully about my controller and what does it mean to press a button, and is there a transition, or is there a difference between pressing and letting it loose? So this is a kind of detail you have to go into. And that's where some people say this is what the game juice is. So everything that makes your game feel good is around this part of input and animation and all that. So this is important to take time for. You can make this pretty fast, and then it's there, and then it feels like, yeah, okay. Or you can make this a beautiful piece. But then you have to invest time, and you have to tweak, and you have to find the right values. But let's do this now. So we know we have this axis now. So now we want to move. We want to move our pedal. So we want to move our pedal. So our pedal has a position. It's a vector x, y, and z. That's something we know from here. So it will be spawned on -600. So that's the location. So we want to move. Oh, you can already see we want to move him on the y axis. So we want to move him from here to here, depending on if I press. So there are thousands of ways to do this. I tend to be a super lazy person, so I always try to do it the easy way and then see how far I can get with that, and then execute that. So I will do. Okay, let's use physics again. So we want to simulate physics. We want to move it by physics. So like we do with a ball, we have to give him some weight. Let's say the pedal is 5 kilogram. We want to lock his Z position because we don't want to him falling down, the same as a ball. So that's this for now. So let's start and see if it behaves okay. Okay, let's see with the ball putting there. So okay. Oh. Okay, yeah, that is nice. So you see, we have a pedal now. Wow. Okay, we make a game where you are the ball and you have to pitch around the pedal. Yeah. This is. I mean, it's obviously what's happening. We didn't restrict him to enough. So first of all, we allow him to rotate. So we shouldn't allow him to rotate, but then he will still move crazily around. So let's see that we can stop him. First of all, we should stop rotation. So he shouldn't rotate at all in any position because we just want to move him left and right. Let's see if this works. Okay, so this works, but this is still not what we want from our pedal. It's still moving around. Exactly, we have to lock the X position. I think it's X. I'm not 100% sure. It's Y? So let us see. Yeah, I mean this is. So we want to lock him in X direction. Only move on Y. Okay. But I mean this is fun, right? I mean this is something I really like because that's what I meant. It might inflict ideas how to do something. You can go with the flow. If you are not like super tight and I want to do only this. If you open yourself up and do this and then you find something, then maybe you make a new game because some error happened. Some great games came out because people made stuff wrong. Do you know Goat Simulator? Yeah? So I mean this is great. It's totally crazy and I cannot think that someone. So you're a goat, you have a big tongue and all is physics and you're jumping around and you can stick stuff to your tongue. It's completely crazy, but it's a beautiful piece. And it's made in a game jam. And I think there's nothing you can come up with by wandering through the woods and think about a game. This is something where you do silly things and then something nice comes out. Okay, so what did I? So we did this. Let's. We have to log it on. What did we say? Y. X. Sorry. Yes, you're right. Okay, so now let's see that the ball hits it, and then, yeah, that looks nice. I mean, still the ball shouldn't be able to move the pedal. This is a wrong way around. But I keep it like this because right now it is basically doing what we want. So now let's add this input to this pedal. So what we can do is, actually I try the same with ball. We do add impulse. So I give him an impulse in the direction of this value, and this value can be, as it is keys, it can be -1, 0, and 1. Okay, so I multiply this, and I multiply this with a vector, like this, and then I give this input. So again, I want to do it on Y, because we locked X, right? My brain is also melting away. So let's give him an impulse of, I don't know, 500. And you know, now it comes in mind how, so we said D is positive, so it's moving right. So that should be right. Epsilon is positive, so we should push him on the right side when pressing D, and when A, it should be minus, so we give the impulse in the other direction. That's the idea. So let's see. Yeah, okay, it's a little bit floaty, and it's also really bouncy, so it's nearly not able to control it, to be honest. That is nice. Oh my god, now it gets super crazy. Yeah. Okay. Whoa, and there's our ball is gone. That happens when you have too much force at positions that you can't handle. So, okay, that makes no sense. So first of all, the pedal is, there's something that is called linear damping. It's a drag force. You have to think about like a spring, like you push, but there's a spring giving a little bit counter force. So we get a little bit more control of that. First of all, we can make it a bit heavier, and then we can say linear damping is, I don't know, we try 20. I have, as said, I have no idea. Yeah, it feels right, but I'm a little bit like, this is when I'm pretty old guy. This is how I can, so we could do this now. So let's say the ball is, so now your grandma can play it as well. You see? Oh no. No, I can't even play this. So you see, you have this makes the game more interesting or less interesting depending on what you enter here. So let's go back to our further values. So let's do this, and then let's we need a little bit more force here. So let's do this. And especially when it comes to physics, you have to test. So this is kind of magic numbers. You know, all the numbers somehow belong together. What I can tell you is try to start with a mass, try to think about linear damping, and then adjust the impulse to this. So let's see, this is still a little bit too slow. So let's make this double again. Yeah, that's nearly there. Let's double it again. That might be too fast now. No, that's actually nice. Okay, so here I have my pedal, I have my input. I actually have nearly a game. Okay, so what you can see with the ball right now. This is interesting. I still don't know why this is happening. But anyhow, the ball has one problem, as you can see. Because of the physics, it can get really crazy, and it could get as crazy that it's only going left and right in the middle and never come down. I could not influence it. So what we would like to do is having the ball always having 90-degree angles. You know, we want to force him to always bounce in diagonal. When you take a close look on the original one, do I have? You see, it's always this 90-degree angles. It's also easier to calculate. But it also makes gameplay-wise, it makes much more sense. You know, what we currently have is kind of nice, but it can be really easy being totally frustrating because the ball is doing super crazy things. So, for that part, what we would like to do is we want to force this ball on these angles. And this is now a little bit too mathematician, so I prepared that. One thing we could do, and this is only a short outlook for the people who are interested in C++. So what we could do now is I could go and implement this mathematic calculation in C++ instead of blueprints. So if I would do that, as said, I will not really do it, but I will show you how it would work. So I would create a new C++ class, and then I can think about what I'm inheriting from. So I could say, okay, let's now, instead of making a blueprint pawn, let's make a C++ pawn. And then I could add their static mesh, I could make all the functionality with adding impulse and all that. I could do the complete thing in C++. this is what I would do, or what I also could do is I could make me a function library that's calculating that for me. So I could say, let's do this, and I just say this is my blueprint function library, however I want to call this. And now I say create class. It takes some time, so now it's building project files. You need something like Visual Studio. Okay, I have Visual Studio Community Edition, which is completely free, which you can use. So it takes some time. It's compiling the C++ code, it's making a project solution, and then it's opening up Visual Studio with this file, and there I could do all my mathematics stuff I want to do. So as I said, I won't do it. I just want to show you how the workflow is. As I said, it takes a little bit of time. So now it's loading Visual Studio. So here we go. Okay, so now I have my C++ file and my function library, and my header file, and here I could, and there's a lot of meta, there's a lot of macros you can use. So I could now implement a function here with input and output and make my calculations. That's it. It is that easy, and then I could call it here. But what I prepared now is, I hope I find it. Let me see where I put it. And this is how our folder now looks like. So we have the solution now. So I can now, without starting the engine, I can start from here. I can compile from there. I can start the editor from there. So this is pretty usual stuff. So let me see where I put. Okay, here's something other that's interesting. You can, I have just text file here with a lot of stuff in it. But if I copy this text here, then you see notes appear. So because what's really cool is you can actually copy paste this and send it to a colleague via Slack or Hangouts or whatever. So this is plain text. Okay, you cannot really edit this. I wouldn't recommend. This looks like this. It's not really readable. But what's really nice is you can copy all the stuff and copying around. So what I did here, I can try to show. Let's hook this up, and then I can try to explain a little bit. So what I do here, each tick, I want to set the linear velocity. I want to set the linear velocity, so I want to tell him in which speed, in which direction he's allowed to go. So let me shortly hook this up, and then I try to explain a little bit more in detail what's happening here. But I didn't want to bother you with this, because it's maybe not for everyone. So what I'm doing here basically is he's getting the component velocity. So it's getting, okay, in which direction and which speed do you go? Then it's clamping the vector size. So I'm saying you are not allowed to go faster than this. So I'm just telling him clamp this by this speed. So I should set a number here, and that should actually be the number approximately what we have here. So say your speed is maximum 1000. And then we rotate the vector in 45 degrees. We make some mathematician stuff here. Here is a mathematic expression. So this is pretty nice. You don't want, and that's what I meant yesterday with you shouldn't use visual scripting like you do C++. This is a really good, nice thing. It's a mathematic expression. I can just write the mathematic expression here, and he's taking the values and making it an input and output. So this is pretty nice. So internally, it looks maybe like this, but we don't bother, because I don't even have to make it. The only thing I do. Oh no, I close this. The only thing I do is I make. I make this mathematic expression, and then I say something like a plus plus b minus c, and then he's creating this. So this is pretty nice. This is super powerful, actually, to avoid having confusing lines here. So basically what it does, it rotates in 45 degree and turns around in 90 degrees. So if I have done this right, and I'm not sure if I do, then what we should see is, yeah. So this is exactly what we wanted, you know. So now he is using the physics, but he's overriding the stuff by forcing him to be in this angles. This is nice, right? So this is and this tiny thing is easy to oversee. So this is something you might not do when you make your game the first time, but this is actually making the fun of the game at the end, because now I can predict much better as a player what's happening. Before it was a little bit more chaotic, as it was physics. Okay, I'm still shitty in games. I'm not really good in playing games. But you can see I can predict now, because it's always behaving the same, because of this little tweak. So nice. So we have this. This feels now pretty nice. Okay, so we have our ball, we have our pedal, we have nearly a game. So what next we need? We should do the bricks. Sorry? Yes, the scoring system and the bricks. So let's start with the bricks, because the last stuff we have left here, as you can see, we replaced nearly everything by logic except those cubes here. Okay? So we want these cubes now not being, they are boring static mesh actors. We want to them behave. What do we want from them? We want, if we hit them, we want to delete them, and then we want to count points. Okay? And we want to have them in different colors than just green. Okay? So now we do something pretty fun. So first of all, we do blueprint, and then we say it's an actor, and then we say BP brick. So now we have this totally empty brick. So here's the same. We add a cube. Maybe we call this component a brick. And then again, we take this values here, copy, paste. So we have this. And then we have, instead of the mesh, we take our brick material. We have this. And now we should replace all this. So let's get rid of them. And bring in our brick on 0, and then for now let's do just one row, because now we want to be able to set the color. I think that's a nice thing to show what you can do with this construction script, because we haven't used this, and I want to show you a little bit one case where it is nice. So what we can do, we have this dynamic material where we can set the color from outside. And we can not only set it in this editor I've shown before, we can also edit it from here. So what I can do is, we take this and we create a dynamic material instance. So we tell them, okay, create one of those assets we made here. So it's one of those. Make an own one. And we use the brick one for this. And then we have to remember what it is called. So we have to make it a variable. Oh no, actually we don't have to. We don't have to. We can skip this. So what we want to do now is, we know this material, and we know that we can change the color. And there is a command for this, and that's called set vector a parameter, because a color is also a component. It's a component of three different values, RGB. So it's a vector, and then the name of the parameter is color. Okay, so if I now do this, then all our bricks got suddenly dark. Okay, because the construction script is directly computed in the moment the asset is changed. So I changed this. So let's move it back to something like green and compile, and now all of them are green. Okay, but what we want to do is, actually, when placing in the level, we want to change the color for each row, because that's how the original looked like. So what we want to do is we want to change this value. So to change this value, we make this a variable. So I can say, okay, promote to variable. I just call this color, and then it shows up here on the bottom side. So I have this color, that's nice. And when I compile, I can set the default value, which is still green because I made this a value, and the engine is intelligent enough to say, okay, you made this value, so I take this color and put it in. So what you also can do is, for a variable, I can set different things. Like I can say, okay, you are editable, and you are exposed on spawn, so you are available for others to manipulate. So what I can do now is, and you see it here already, when I select one, I have this color now, because I exposed it to the editor. What I can do now is really, really nice. I can be in the editor and change the color. Ooh, this is so cool. I really like this. So I can go here now and like select all of them, because I can do multi-selection. And then I can open this up and say, okay, we want to change all of them to yellow. Okay, and then we copy another row. And for that row, we say, okay, the next row is green. And then we copy another row. We keep this green, and then we do another row and say this one is red, for example. So if I play, so this looks already pretty nice, like what we want. So we have the ball now, we have this now, and I really think we should light up the scene. It's a little bit dark. Yeah, that's better. Okay, nice. So yeah, so we have this. We have different bricks in different colors. So now we want to remove them, or we want to hide them, or we want to get rid of them when the ball hits it. So I know it's a lot. I want to give you an idea about the basic beats of the engine, and then also with a video on YouTube you can recreate this by yourself, and I assure you you have a basic understanding about how this all works, and then from there you can get super complex, but you understand input, you understand the basic framework of the engine, you know how to manipulate stuff, and yeah, for sure when you do animation it's getting much more complex, I know that, but you can bring it a context now, okay? An animation would be just a skeletal mesh here, and then you have a lot of tutorials how to do this. So, but now what we want to do here, it doesn't have to change anything in tick and begin overlap. These are just for convenience and to remember people who are new to the engine that this stuff is there. I tend to delete those to keep it clean, but this is your taste and what you like. So what we want to do is this brick. When the ball hits it, we want to know it. We want this brick to tell us when he got hit. And when you scroll through the stuff, so here's physics, but there's also something called collision. So I can say, okay, simulate generates hit events. This is something that's not, this checkbox is not in, but this is important to tell me, okay, when you got hit, please tell me. And what I can do is I can make a right click here, and then there's add events. And there's something called on component hit. Okay, so this is an event like begin play. So at the begin play, this is called, and this is called in the moment something hits a component. So when this is hit, what I want to do is I want to destroy. Let me see. Destroy actor. So I actually want to kill this actor. So let's see if this works. So in the moment, and by the way, currently I do it when anything hits me. So if anything else would hit me, I would also destroy myself. But I, as a designer now, the only thing right now that should be able hitting you is a ball. There's nothing else that's moving around. But I have a lot of more information here. I could say, okay, the other actor, if this is a ball, then I get deleted. If this is something else, I can do. So you can get super crazy. But right now, we have a really safe environment. We know when the ball hits us, we want just to get deleted. Bam. So we have this. And this feels now already like a game. So I have already a goal now to get all the stuff from the board without really having points and all that. But obviously I cannot die right now. The ball is not. There's nothing that can go wrong. Yeah, but we have this now. So okay. So the next thing we have to do is we have to calculate the points. Okay. So we have to think about, okay, where do we store the points? Where does the points come from? How do we do that part? So first, what we want to do is, we have to think about where to put it. And the game mode is a really good idea. So here's the game mode. And in the game mode, we currently don't do anything. So what we would like to do is, we want to remember how much points do we have. So that's the first thing we do. I can enter a variable, and I give it a name, so I call it just points. So and variables can be of different kinds. So a boolean is only yes or no, but what we want is an integer. That's full numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. So we want an integer. We want to count the points, and we want to remember this. So the next thing we want to do is we want the brick. And the moment it's getting destroyed, we want to tell the game mode, hey, I get destroyed, I have 10 points for you, okay? So what we do is we do a new function, and we call this update points. And a function is like the stuff I did here. Like, I don't know, with begin play, you could see this as it's an event, but you can see, you can so it can get really big, okay? And when I do stuff from outside, or I do it several times, and it's maybe good, in the moment you do things the second time, it's good to think about it and capture it as a function, and then do it from there. So I do a function, and a function is just something I can call from inside or from outside, and I can give input. I can say, okay, input in. And I say new points, or I just call this points. The function is called update points, and when it is called, then it gives me the points I want to add. So what I want to do now is I want to set new points, and this is pretty basic mathematician. I can say, okay, the points I already have plus the new points, or the new points plus my points I already have, and then I set it to the new points. So what this super simple function is just doing, if I call it and say 10, then it adds 10 to what I already have. If I add minus 10, I would subtract 10, okay? This is the reason why I call it update points and not increase points. That's a minor thing, but it's just convenient to have one function to do this. So now I have this function, I call this, so I don't have an interface yet. So what I do, I use this print string a lot. So this is really helpful. And this is also something, when you work on your game, don't do big chunks at once and then play, and then nothing is working, and then you have a lot of stuff you have to dig through. So do super tiny stuff, and then always try if it's still working. So what I do here now, I just print the new points on screen. So currently nobody is telling the game mode that we have a new amount of points. And at the beginning, the points are 0. So the default value is 0. So when the game starts, all is set to default, and that is 0. So currently nothing is happening. So, but what we want to do, before we destroy this actor, we want to tell the game mode, hey, I got points for you. So what we need to do is we have to figure out where our game mode is. And a game mode, and that's part of the framework of the engine, a game mode is always existing, okay? There's always a game mode. If you don't set one, then the engine is setting one. So you can be assured there is a game mode. The engine is not running without one. So we can do something like get game mode, and there it is. So we get the game mode. But this game mode is, and now you have to think about the hierarchy again. This game mode is the parent of the game mode I am using, okay? Because it's the only thing the engine can be sure of, that this one is there, okay? But mine is a child of that, okay? So what I have to do now is I have to figure out if I have this child, because only the child has the update function. Okay, if I would have different game modes, different maps with different game modes, but the game modes are just slightly different. I might have one game mode handling all that, and then I have children of that with a little differentiation. Okay, then I would call the parent and do the functionality there, and then all the others, even if there are others, they get called for. But for me, my functionality is in my own game mode. So I have something that's called cast. I cast on my own game mode. So now I have this. Oh no, this is the wrong one. So I do cast, and then I do GM breakout. This is ours, okay? This is the one. So, and I can also directly. Oh, what's happening here? My mouse stopped working. No, please don't update. Go away. Okay, this is super strange. Maybe. Oh, my PC is getting hot. Okay, let's see. Okay, this will hurt. So now let's see. So where we go? Here we go. Let's see what we saved the last time. Woo! I'm a little bit worried about my PC. For that reason, you have source control. So he wants to offer me to restore something, but. Okay, cool, yeah, let's open what we had opened at last. Let's put it there. Let's see. Oh, this is still there, that's nice. Okay, we didn't do so much. One other thing is, when the editor starts, you can see it's always loading this untitled level. It's really nice to change that. You can go to the project settings, and then you can scroll to, there's something where it's maps and modes. And there you can define what is loaded in the editor or when you later make the game. And that's actually important. So game default mode, if you don't set this and you cook your version, then this map is maybe not existing. So you have to decide which is the first map to load. So I will do my breakout level here now. So next time we start, we are directly in that level. For our game, for example, we had pretty big levels, and they took some time to load. So we actually made one level for testing. So we had a star system level that was really lightweight. There were not much in, and we had that as editor start map. So I could just have really fast loading and do stuff. When you do a big open world game, for example, you might not want to load the whole world each time. You maybe want to load something smaller, because not everybody needs to have the full thing at the start. So. Okay, so what we have to do again is just what we did, is get game mode. And then we cast on our breakout game mode. And this time, and then we want to do, and now we can call function update points. Cool, this is a function we just made. So this is pretty nice. So how many points do we give? I could put this here now. But I could do the same, what I did with color. I could say, okay, different rows get different points. So let's do the following. Let's promote to variable. Let's call this points. And then say it is editable and it is exposed on spawn. And then we save. And the cool thing now is, okay, first we should load our level. Okay, nice. Yeah, we didn't make more rows. The cool thing is now here I have my points. Okay, so now I can give different points for different. Oh no, we didn't save the level before. Now I got it. Okay, we lost that. Not so important. So let's make a more meaningful default number, which is 50. So 50 points. So we should now just copy them again. Boop, boop, boop. And then let's see that I should have made that directly. Okay, let's give different colors. Something yellow. Something. Let's make yellow again. And then red. Oh yeah, and we lost our color, our changes we made to the light. So let's be light. Okay. So and now we can select this and give the points. So let's see, 50, and then we do this ones are, I don't know, 100, and this ones are 200 or whatever. I mean that's balancing. That's something you want to figure out again for your own game. So we have this. So let's see what's happening. So you might be seeing it on the top left corner because we're only printing it on screen because we have no interface yet. But as you can see, we're collecting points, which is pretty cool. So we are nearly there. So this is nice. So next thing we want to do is exactly the interface thing. So let's make a proper interface. And I only, again, each of these parts I try to tell you, I try to show you, can be super complex. You can do a lot with everything. So I try to do from everything only a small portion. This is the same what we do with the interface now. So what we want to do is, we want to display the points on screen in a nice way, not just this number. Because this number, by the way, it only works in your debug, in your editor. If you develop your game and give it to someone else, nobody will see the 100 there. This is just a debug output. So what we want to do is, let's make a new folder just for to be a little bit cleaner. Call this interface or UI or whatever you prefer. Oh, what did I do? Oh no. Oh shit. Okay, I think no. No, it's fine. Okay, we do a new folder and we call this interface. So let's make an interface. So first of all, here is something that's called user interface. It's here, and then the thing we want is a blueprint widget. And this is something how I display numbers and have buttons on screen, etc. So we do this, and we just call this HUD for now. It's just an head-up display. And when I open this up, I have two sections. One is a designer. Here I drop things in like text and buttons and stuff, and I can anchor it, and I can do a lot here. So I can make all the layout of my interface, and then I have the graph, which is again blueprint. And there I can make the functionality. So what we want to do is actually pretty easy. So let's first do this. I put something here that's called text block, a text, and then I can set the position here. Like I don't know. Let's do 50, 50, something like that. And it's anchored to the upper left corner. And I can say here points, for example, points. So that's it. I don't do more right now. We will extend this in a minute. So what I try always to do if I implement something new in the game, I try to make it super minimalistic and then make it visible. So first, before we do fancy stuff in the interface, displaying all that, let's make sure it is visible here. Because when I start right now, I have no interface. There's nothing. So I want to load this interface. And to do so, I can use my game mode again. And I can say in begin play, so when the game starts, I want to create an interface. So create widget. So I can create this widget, and then I have my HUD here. I just added. So I just created it. It's not attached to the viewport. So now I have to add to viewport. Okay, and I can also give a Z order if I create more and I stack them over each other. So let's do this and then start. And you see, whoa, we have already an interface. It's super simple. It's just like there's only points standing there. But now we can begin to work with this. So we have points there. So what we want to do now is I could also, and this is a little bit important for mobile development, or actually for the mobile devices. There are so many different sizes and ratios. This can be really complicated. So right now, the anchor is there. So if I would say, okay, this one is anchored on the right side, I put it there somewhere, and I start it, and now I say this is smaller. You see the points is moving to this anchor. So it's anchored there, so it's anchored on the right side, and it stays on the right side. I could also say it is like somewhere in the middle, and then I put the anchor in the middle. It's not a really nice place, but you can see he's trying to keep it relatively to this anchor. That's interesting because with this, in this way you can make your layout in a way that the screen, if the screen is a bit smaller or a bit bigger, the stuff stays still in the corners where you want it. Okay, so next thing, we have just text here, but we need to update this, and we need to tell this thing the points it has. So I want to make it a little bit nice. So first of all, let's do, there's a lot of stuff you can put in. It's a little bit like the different components and stuff. What we want to do, there's different kind of panels. So currently this is just a canvas, is just, has some rules that I can just place stuff there. But there's something called horizontal box. So if I put a horizontal box here, so let's move the horizontal box somewhere there, and then I put my text in it, and then I tell the horizontal box size to content. So it's just saying if you are longer, then I will get longer. So so we do this. Okay, so next thing is, this is just the text, and that's something you maybe want to localize. So that's another thing I don't want to touch, but if you want to do a game and you want to release it on different markets, you maybe have different languages, etc., and their localization would come in. So you want to have points, and there's a localization system in the engine. So you can use the localization system of the engine. It's gathering all the keys, and then you can export, and then you have someone else maybe translating it and getting it back in, so you can have different language versions of your game. But as again, this is not the topic I want to touch now. So we have points here. So the next thing we want to do, we want to have text for the points itself. We put it also in the box, because the cool thing with the box is it's just arranging everything I have besides each other. And there's a vertical box, and there's a horizontal box. There's even a grid box that tries to put everything in a kind of grid. That's just for layout reasons. So this one is actually like, this is where our numbers go. And what you can see is when I gather numbers right now, it would jump. So it would be nice if we could align them on the right side. So we do right alignment, and we do right alignment. And then you can also do stuff like how much space does it have on the left side. So when you come from web development, there's maybe some stuff you know. Okay, so we have now our number here. Okay, nice. So the next thing we want to do is we have to update this. Okay, so we have to know what is our, because when I start now, there's just 1999, because we don't tell the interface right now what the numbers are. So actually in the moment we do this, we want to update the interface. So it would be nice to tell the interface, please update. And the nice thing is, here in the game mode, we create this. And we can remember the name of this, so the reference of this. So we can promote this as a variable, can say, okay, this is our HUD. And this is nice because now the game mode knows about the HUD. And when we update points, instead of making this print string, we can go to our HUD. And we could now search for stuff we have in the HUD. And to write to this, we need to make this a variable. Or what we can do, which is a little bit, this is what I said. It's a little bit game development is a little bit complicated because there are 1,000 ways to do it. I can come up with 3 different ways now. I could directly use this and then get a variable and write the text into that. I could make a function. Like I could make a function and say, okay, let's add a custom event. Let's call this update points in the interface. So and then we can say, okay, we get the new points here. New points. So we get our updated points. And then we have to write this into this. So this is one way to do it. So for this, I have to name this properly, like player points, and make this a variable, because then the graph is seeing it. So now I have it here. So this little, because you can add a lot of stuff. It's static. I do not want to change points or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff that's not interesting for interactive. But this needs to be interactive, so I make it a variable, so I can access it from here. So I can drag this in, and I can say set text. So I can set the text. So the text I want to write is the new points. So I just drag this in, and then there comes out automatically a little converter that's doing stuff for me, like, okay, what's the minimum integer digit? So, for example, if I say it's 8, then he's filling up with zeros, this kind of stuff. Grouping is to have 1,000. You have this, I don't know, you do comma, right? For 1,000 you do comma. So I can have this grouping or not. Let's keep it really clean like this. So now I have a function that is doing this for me. And what I can do now in the game mode, I have this HUD, and I have now this update points function I just made. And now I just tell him these are the new points. So, and at the beginning I have 0 points. So when I start playing, bam, magic. Okay. So you see, he's now collecting the points. But what you also can see, I hope you realize this. There's a lot of stuff you have to do for a game, right? I mean, the engine is giving you a lot of tools and a lot of stuff to make it convenient. But still, I mean, that's something most players don't really realize, how much fucking work it is to make stuff happening. So it is like this. It's nothing you can go around with. You cannot say, please make it even easier. This is one of the most easiest way to do it already. But you have to do all this. You have to do all this. This is what game development is a bit. I know it's a little bit frustrating at the beginning when you see this and say, oh my god, this is a lot, but you can learn all that. This is not magic. It looks like magic, I know. Woo. But it's not. You just have to be, if you're just starting with making games, I encourage you to do simple things like this first. Do this, sit down, do this, and do a second one, and do a third one. That's how you get used to it, and then it isn't so scary anymore. And then you get used to it, and you understand what it means, and then you can really do beautiful things. Okay, so we can have a maximum number points of 2,300 now. Okay, so what is missing? We cannot lose, right? We have a win condition now, but a good game also needs a lose condition. So it's no tension right now. I cannot lose. So we should make lose. As well. You're still with me? It's fine? Yeah? It's getting a little bit it's getting hard, right? It's a lot for the brain, it's a lot for compute. It's I know. So first of all, let's make our field a little bit more interesting by moving the camera a little bit, because actually in the original one we also don't see the bottom, right? Okay, the bottom is still there. We just moved the camera away. So what we want to do is, if the ball is becoming in this area here, it should go away. Okay? And that's pretty easy to do. So what we do is, we do another actor. We have done this several times now, so that should be easy. BP, and we call it kill zone. Okay? So we have a kill zone here. So currently no functionality, no component. And now we add a component. And we add something that's like the volume, the post-process volume as well. So we add a box. So this has no physical representation, okay? It's just a box. And for this box, it has the same values as it is normal. It is a normal thing. I have a shape. I can simulate physics with it, etc. Hit, and the thing we are interested now is overlap. So we talked about the hit. So if I hit something, but what we now want is we don't want it to be hit. We just want to check if something is overlapping with me. Okay, if something is coming inside me. I didn't say that. So we have an overlap event. So what we do now is we go in box and we add event, and there's on component begin overlap. Okay, so it is the same kind of philosophy. So everything you see from me is always the same kind of philosophy. It's always the same kind of thing. So we have this instead of hit, we just have overlap. So again, I could check now: are you a ball? But the only thing that can overlap with me is the ball. Okay, our pedal, we restricted our pedal. Oh, I have to come to an end. Okay, give me 5 minutes and I'm done. Okay, so we have to be fast now. We have to make a finishing move and okay, we have this, and the only thing we want to do is the thing that is overlapping us, we just want to get rid of it. So we take the other actor that's overlapping with us, and we make the same what we did before we destroy it. We just destroy it. Because the cool thing is we have the player position. We can respawn a ball at the player position if we want. We will not be able to do this now, but at least I want to have this complete game. So, okay, we made this, but maybe it would be really cool to place it in the level. Yeah, maybe it's getting too late now. So we want to place this in the level, and I want to scale this. Not this. I want to scale it. So let's make this long enough, like this. Okay. So when the ball enters this, then bam, it's gone. Okay, so let's again start as new editor window. This is an advantage because if I start here, it's using the resolution I'm using here. This is not really nice. When I don't present, I tend to do this because then it's always having the aspect ratio you give them. It's especially important for mobile games. You maybe want to have the preview exactly like the resolution of the phone. So we haven't implemented the start, so it's a rook-like now. If I die, I'm gone. Shit. So I have to restart the game. So the part that's missing now is counting the balls, allowing the player 3 balls, puts this on the right area, but it's basically the same. So in the moment I'm killing it, I would tell the game mode, hey game mode, please subtract 1 ball. Okay? And then I could say, oh, if I have only 0 balls, I could make a pop-up and saying, hey, you lost. Okay? And then I can implement a button, pressing a button, and then restarting the game. You have the tools now, basically, to extend this. So I encourage you to use this as a kind of very good basis to go from. You can go a lot. I think we achieved a lot today, much more than I thought. So this is nice. So we have a game, we can turn points, we can win. Now we cannot really win. We have to tell ourselves, yeah, we won when we got all things. But I mean, again, we know the maximum amount of points we can get. We could make now, in the moment we update the interface, we can also check, hey, did you do 2,300 points? And then we can make a pop-up and say, you won. And then we can have an extra HUD with 2 buttons, and then we can have the buttons with restart or whatsoever, or in-app purchase. So you can go from there. So, wow, let's make a last conclusion. Yumi, I'm really sorry, but I have to do this. I need 2 or 3 more minutes. Because I think this is a bit important. So the conclusion of the whole day today is a bit when you do this prototype, or when you try to make your first game, pick the right prototype. I have shown you what I did wrong in my career at the beginning. I pick a prototype that makes no sense. So pick the right prototype. Then be modest. So the prototype, even, I mean, we figured out, we did a pretty old game, and still we figured out stuff by doing so. Because when we do the prototype, when you play a game, it's never the same as if you remake the game. You will see some stuff you don't recognize as a player. Be smart. I think cloning is okay. Use standards, use industry standards to learn, and then begin to replace and make it bigger. That's the right way. So there are two things that are wrong, I think. Just copying everything is wrong, and I think just trying to make something completely new in all aspects is wrong. That will not lead to something substantial. What you want to do is you want to innovate. You want to have an evolution of things. So start with something you understand, use standards, and then replace. And then be quick. You can get lost here really, really fast when making these prototypes. We could have made particle effects and really cool things, but this is distracting us from finding out what's fun with the game. And the fun of the game is interaction, and not that it's sparkling and super, super nice. Sparkling and super nice, we keep to the AAAs. This is what I always thinking. We can do the innovative, cool, interactive stuff. What else? Be open. So I have playtesters. We have now a version we can give to a friend and say, play this. And he's saying, yeah, it doesn't feel right, the pedal is not fast enough, or, oh my god, the ball is too hectic, or whatsoever. So we can already get really meaningful feedback. And what's another cool thing is, you are in contact with other persons and talk about the stuff, and you learn by doing that. So I encourage all my students always to show each other the stuff they are doing, because this is the best way to get feedback. Even if they are not super experienced, the discussion is the best you can get. Prioritize. So start with something that is the core of the game, and then do the rest. Iterate. So a prototype is about trying something and then failing and doing again. And try to focus. So remember why you do this. So as said, I like to do this stuff, and I can get carried away, and then suddenly I end up somewhere else. That can be a nice experience, but if you want to do a commercial product and you want to release it and you want to make money for it, you need to focus. Otherwise, you are just toying around. But toying around at the beginning is really important. Okay, so I thank you a lot. This was 2 really exciting days for me. This went completely different than I expected. I hope you enjoyed the day today with doing this, because this was my feeling yesterday in the hotel. After thinking about the whole day, I thought I'd put everything aside what I've planned, and I think this is hopefully more helpful for you. I hope to see nice games from Nigeria. The thing we haven't really talked about is applying for the mega grants. Can I say some things about that? Because it's, okay. Okay, so there's the mega grants. I talked about this yesterday. For 100 million over 5 years, that means 25 million for different kind of projects, for different verticals, like enterprise, games, movie, TV, tools, and education. If you have, I asked before, there's one application from whole Nigeria right now. Only one, okay? When you apply for this, there are some things that's important to understand. The Epic is really a company that wants to encourage and help communities to grow and have great games out there, because it's also how we thrive. So, and Epic is about cool projects. Everybody I met so far is, first, they are all much smarter than me, so I always have a feeling I'm the dumbest person in the room. And the second thing I see there is they're really open and really interested in cool projects. So everybody is getting excited for cool projects. So when you apply there, you have some things you should consider. First of all, it's not about full game funding. Okay, so when you apply, you shouldn't think about, okay, this is the amount of money I need to make this game. That's not really how it works. You can reapply with the same project in different phases. So this is important to understand. So you could apply for, I want to do a vertical slice of the game. Okay, and then you can later apply and say, we want to make a multiplayer version of this game. So this is theoretically possible. That means instead of asking for the full amount of money for your whole project, for a team nobody knows, from an area which people are not really aware of is maybe not the smartest way to do it. It's much better to say, hey, we are an inspiring team, we want to do this and this kind of game. If you have a prototype, that helps, to be honest. There are so many applications coming in, so to prove a little bit that you have something is okay, is good. So if you apply and just writing down, like, here's my text, I have this vision of the game, please give me money. This is difficult, you know. I mean, this is difficult for everybody, but it is better if you have something. I think having a video is pretty important. So I think the video right now is not mandatory if you apply, but I highly encourage you to have a video of your game thing, of your prototype, whatever it looks like. I applied for my game years ago, was already a dev grant. It was the same kind of system. It was not formalized like this. It was not this amount of money, but it was already existing. And one thing we did is we narrated our own game. So we were playing the game and I was explaining what the people are seeing there. And I think that was pretty helpful because you have to see on the other side who is judging this and going through the stuff. They see a lot of things. They have to, this is really, we're talking about thousands of applications. So they see a lot of things. So you have to help them understand what you want to do. So if you have a video, that helps a lot, okay? That really helps a lot. If you have a video where you explain what's happening on screen, that even is better, I think. That's my personal opinion, but I think it's true, because if you just sit there, see someone playing it, you have no context. Okay? Then you have, you're filling out why you want to do this game and what this game is about. So be super honest and talk also maybe about your personal motivation, why you want to do it, who you are, what's your background, so why you are 3 people, how do you meet, why do you want to make this game? So give a little bit context, not just like, here's my game, give me money. So people should need, get a little bit more context to it. So try to add this context. And then there is what you want to, there's a part what you want to do with the money. Be honest there, say what you would, say also a little bit like, okay, our life, we need this amount of money for us to make a living and we want to work on this for half a year, and that doesn't mean, be honest there. I think that's completely fine. What else? The video is important. You should bring context. And when you can tell how much money you want. Okay. If you get over a certain amount, I think it's 25,000 or something like that. Then you might not get the. If you get picked, you might not get the money upfront completely. You get a certain amount, and then Epic comes back and saying, okay, how it's going? Did you just smoke some money, or did you really do something with it? I mean, we are really trying to help, but on the other side, I mean, we do not super control, like in super detail, what you really do with it. Okay, so nobody is like, it's not like a publisher and checking and milestones and all that. That's not that. But we want to help you. We want to help you to grow. And that sometimes we call in and ask, okay, how it's doing. Because for us, when a team is coming out of this program and being successful, this is also good for Epic, because, I mean, it's not like wasted on something, okay? So this is important. So don't ask for too much upfront, but I think that's maybe not an issue here. But I heard about applications. They were like, okay, here is my concept paper, please give us $500,000. This is difficult. I mean, obviously nobody wants really to take this risk. I'm trying not to forget anything there. So the video is, as I said, the video is important. Context is important. When you use social media, use hashtags so it can be made visible that you use Unreal Engine. Oh yeah, Unity or other projects. Yeah.
What about do we have to put like a projected income of what we think the game can make? Do we have to do like a business plan?
I would add it a little bit, but the financial. I have to be careful what I'm saying now, or I have to think about it because it's also recorded. I don't want to do something completely stupid. So it's a little bit my experience. Epic is more about something cool first, and then second, if it is successful on the market. It's not 100% true and it's not 100% wrong, but I think the priority is more on cool projects first and help environments and people to grow. But it's nice if you can attach that and saying, okay, this is what we think, why does this make sense for us? I mean, if someone is doing something super silly that makes absolutely no sense on the market, then it might not be picked. If it's something that's super beautiful and nice and might not make it on the market, it might be picked. You know what I mean? So it's more about cool projects and helping, and that's something we have to learn with Epic, and with an Epic as well, how we cannot compare a game from here with 5 people with something done in the US with completely different environment. You cannot have both games, oh, this costs the same. This is not possible. So bear with us, we're also learning how we can, but this is a constant discussion, and that's good to have more applications from areas like you, because they help learning on our side, okay? And if you apply, especially you here in the room, I mean, I will put on my email again. So don't hesitate. Don't hesitate if you apply to write me at least an email. Because what I can do, so it's there. So what I at least can do is I say, oh yeah, they were my course. I saw them. They are legit. They are real people. They are not scam. You know what I mean? It's a complicated world. There's a lot of people who are applying. So I cannot influence in any way the process. So the process is super objective, and there's a lot of people looking into it, and legal people looking into it, etc., etc. So there's a lot of. So this is a. Yeah, so that's that. The thing I wanted to say is about other engines. So if you have a prototype in another engine and you decide we want to make this in Unreal, you can apply with that prototype, okay? You can apply with a prototype of another engine. That's possible. But it's really important to make clear that this is not a super opportunistic move and you will move back and forth, whatever. It has to be a long-term thing for you, okay? It has to be real that you're saying, okay, I want to be Unreal. Oh, wow. Maybe I, oh, this is a good quote. I actually tried. This is mine. Copyright. Can you do me a copyright thing for my thing I just said? Yeah, okay, thank you. I mean, honestly, it makes no sense for our side and also not for you to switch between just because of the money. You should really say, I want to do this, and you should make clear in your application why you want to do this. And then it's okay to also apply with another engine. It is also, maybe your chances might be a bit higher if you show already a little bit of effort. Like, okay, here's our prototype in another engine, and here is our prototype of our first steps in Unreal. You know, showing a little bit effort might help as well. But this is really, as said, I cannot influence this process at all, and I'm just giving you my kind of feeling how it is, okay? You cannot nail me down on that. So especially a lawyer, you can't, okay? Okay, so I'm sorry that but I think it's, did I forget anything? Do you have any questions? It's Epic Mega Grant. Epic Mega Grant. And you find it easily on the on the website. So there's an application form on the website. Oh, yes, I remember. What is also can be a good source of income, if you get into the engine and get some stuff done, think about the marketplace. I think especially for areas like you, where you do not a complete game, but maybe do a portion, like a little effect or something. There's really nice stuff on the marketplace. Take a look at the marketplace, what is there. Take a look what you are made missing, and maybe you find a good way what you like to do, and you can try to be a marketplace seller. So that might be a good revenue stream to also start somewhere instead of making a complete game and publishing it, etc., etc. It might be much, but maybe it's a good. I at least want to spark this idea into you if this might be something for you.
Does the game have to be on Unreal, or it can be from any other?
Yeah, we just said it.
Okay, so
Yeah, I just explained a little bit what it means, what to do there. Okay, wow.
Business Ivanka. So I'm going to issue the certificate to them.
Okay.
So you're going to see this, like 40 print.
Oh, nice. Just 40 places. Yeah.
Yes, just 40. I'm sure we are for, right? So we have to do this trend today. So we're going to very suppose type social media and do maybe your post right there.
You talked about this with Shira?
Go online, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Okay.
Write
Okay.
experience. Probably a picture, post it now. We just supposed to write a social media page on Instagram. Yeah, and or real engine. You just everything. So just right now, just write. Don't just bring out our phones now. You take a selfie and post a picture now and write about your experience and what hashtag. Present it on our phone and do it now. Thank you. You can take a picture of me, I'm fine. So AB, yeah, that's it. You will blow. So let's do. I'm waiting. Let's do it now. Let's do it now. So while we're waiting for Andrew to be done signing out.
It takes an hour, you know. I'm really slow. Can I do it digital?
Please, let's do. We are waiting. Take your phone. Those are Instagram. Those are social media.
What is the biggest social platform for you? Instagram? Instagram? And Twitter second?
So please, let's Unreal is at Unreal So look at it. At Unreal Engine, right? And please let's use this hashtag too. Hashtag UE4. At Unreal Engine. Hashtag UE4. So we just read now. Enter Africa Lagos. Okay. Hashtag Enter Africa Lagos. Let's do that. Hashtag Enter Africa Lagos. Please let's make it. We are waiting. If you've done yours, put your hands up. Okay, so nobody. We are waiting. You can take a picture.
You have to show your post before I get you to give you this.
Yes.
No, I'm joking.
That's a great one. So you have to show us your post, if not, no certificate.
Nah, come on.
You have to make this true.
I'm not even sure if this is legal.
Like, I don't know what you're doing. You're not supposed to do this in Java. Alright, please, we're just trying to wait for us.
Does anybody need the engine? Does anybody want to have the engine copied on a hard drive?
Okay, so
I can do this now. Because it might take some time.
alright, so we're telling you while we are trying to post, while I'm just trying to sign. I'll just think like two people, we don't have any female. We've not spoken here today at all. That I'm concerned about. Just put up your hands and just share. Let's appreciate Andre for just give us like the word of appreciation. Especially Andre for the things that I shared with us. Just two people. We don't have the female, so I'll share the male and the female. So just two men. Especially if you've not spoken today. And if you have spoken and you are confident enough, please say something. Since that don't want to speak, they don't want to speak. People are just taking my picture for free. I know I'm a model, guys. Don't forget, let's use all the handles. Let's use all the handles. If you posted yours, please let's see your hand. Don't worry.
Is internet in Nigeria?
Everything is nice. If it's not Buhari, it is Showore, it is you.
You mean my hand hurts.
It's part of being a game developer.
Oh.
What? Sorry. You can take water.
My hand hurts, drink water.
Yeah.
Shut up. Shut up and write.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
But so I put on every one I put another name for me, okay? No, I'm joking.
Alright, so Andrew, please can you just come forward? Mr. Kume, can you come forward? So we can present the certificates to those that are seated. And please, if you don't, your name is not here because probably you didn't come yesterday, that's why your name is not here. But we plan on still giving you a certificate, but that will be later. So what you're going to do first is that, if you don't hear your name, please just put your name with the lady at the back. Please put your hands up, Esther. So if we don't call you, just put your name with Esther, write your name with her, we'll make the certificate available. One I'll sign by Andre, and we'll let you know when it's ready. Is that okay? So let's just start. Andre, don't worry, let me just call the name so your hands will not ping you anymore. Lukman Agbola, are you here?
I'm really happy. I was a little afraid you want me to spell out the names. I was already sweating a bit.
Lukman Agbola, not here. Ajayi Joy, Joy has gone. Amaibi Amara, over here. Oh, yeah, come. Okay, so Mr. Kumi. So just help us present.
Now come on. Really nice having you.
Nice.
I don't know. Do you do hugging here? You shake hands. Okay. Okay. Okay.
So do I? Yes. Hold the team. So
Oh, okay. Okay. We take a picture. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. 40 pictures. Okay. This is pretty. Yeah. 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 Should we?
Are you ready?
Nigga.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
This feels pretty strange.
Another one. Okay.
Another one?
Okay, praise. Thank you, AB. Let's do a praise. Did I get that? No. You're not even nice.
So we only do hands. I just learned that. Okay.
Mocha Derek, are you here?
Thank you. Hello, sir.
Ola Dots, Ola
Did you enjoy it? Good.
Ola.
Did you follow? Good. Ah, okay, good.
Kasali Ola Milego. Yeah?
Hello.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. This feels a bit strange. Do you do this all the time with the? Okay, me neither. Hey man. Thank you.
So, can somebody use your phone to help us do this? While we're trying to do it. Just hold on. Just use your. Okay, are we ready? Okay, just hold on. Emeka Chukwulobe. Did I get it? Chukwu what? God is what? Cole Zion.
Hello, sir. Thank you.
So can we move
Oh.
there?
Yeah, maybe. Like this?
Yeah.
Where do we? Can you go on this side? Ah, this is a little bit hard to do.
But it's fine.
Maybe we do it on one side, something like that. No?
Yeah, that's fine. That's
Yeah, I think together is better than one there, one there. Oh.
Cole Zion. Bojin.
Thank you.
Bojin, are
Did you
here?
enjoy it?
Yeah.
Did you follow with PC?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Ah? Okay.
One more that I know is tap, 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 swipe.
Bojin.
Tap, tap, tap.
Adeyemo Peter.
Hey, thank you for coming. I think we have to show this as well. I don't know.
Lawal Sheun.
Hey, thanks.
Who's Lawal Sheun? Who's Lawal Sheun? Thunder, Olanrewaju. Anybody? Ogunyebi, Oluwatosi.
Hey. Did you like it?
Yes.
Good. I think you should go on that side. I think there.
Okay.
Fight. Fight.